Hello YouTube land, this is Jay from 21st Century Reviews, bringing you a review of the Star Trek, the official Starships collection, Eaglemoss Issue 1, the 1701-A USS Enterprise, commissioned in 2364, captained by Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Wanted to do a brief shout out here just to say thank you to Irish Trekkie, Soundwave SG1, and Geekology, longtime YouTubers and huge Star Trek fans. You guys are actually the inspiration what has brought me onto YouTube to try and do something other than movie reviews that weren't really getting me very far. So I thought I would join a community of guys all from the United Kingdom and try to bring a little bit of American flavor into it. So, without further ado, let's talk about issue number 1 of the Eaglemoss Star Trek, the official Starships collection, USS Enterprise, NCC1701-D. Fifth starship to bear the name Enterprise, like I said, launched in 2364 under Captain Jean-Luc Picard. This ship was very iconic in my growing up. I spent most of my, pretty much from the age of 5 to 12, watching Star Trek The Next Generation. It was my favorite TV show, seconded only by, of course, the original series. This ship has a lot of solid memories for me, and a lot of nostalgia for me. So to sit here and actually be able to critique the model created by a really cool company is actually kind of neat. So without further ado, let's talk about this ship. The decaling and the attention to detail on this particular one is quite good. There's a lot of little dashes that are in the actual hull plating, everything, that show where the windows are. They actually sit right where they're supposed to. Which basically that would be these little spots right here along the edging right above the name of the ship. The placement of the escape pods, everything, which are the little squares that you see all over the surface of this and everything. Good placement. It looks exactly like my bigger model that I have of it. The detail attention to things like these little vents are not only located on the dorsal section of the hull, but also located on the ventral section as well. The detailing is still just as crisp and just as solid on the ventral section as it is on the dorsal section. The registration number sits exactly like it's supposed to. When you're seeing it from the front, you should be able to see the registration number from the front of it and be able to read it. The reason I point that out is there is a starship in the line that does not have that and is actually a real big gripe of mine, but we will discuss that at a later point in a later review. As a whole, I love this ship. It was the initial issue, starting at $4.95 plus shipping and handling. You received its neat little base, the magazine that comes with every issue, minus some of the special editions, and I actually got my binder with the first one as well. Things I like about this, the attention to detail on the Bussard collectors and the nacelle housings, the clear plastic applications to them and everything make this model detailed really good, because as you can see, the light shines right through it and you can actually see exactly what you're supposed to see. Good attention to detail. I rather enjoy that. Again, decal placement, everything in all the right locations. We'll hopefully be able to focus in on that just a hair, but if not, you can see the outline from it right above that phaser emitter that's right there. That's the line that's right underneath. Good attention to detail on that. One of the drawbacks is, and you'll be able to see it slightly right there, is that where the nacelles join the pylons, everything, there's a clear gap on both sides of it, where you can actually see where the it didn't match up 100%. So it's a minor complaint. It's not really a complaint on my part. As a guy that's spent a lot of time building models, starships included, I know how difficult that can actually be to get it to sync up 100% with glue application, especially since these particular models, a good portion of them is made of die-cast metal, and then the other remaining portion is made of a plastic material. Kind of strange, I'll admit. It makes them a lot of times tend to be more front or back heavy, which, to be honest, kind of messes with some of the stands, I've noticed. The stands are good solid stands, but they don't withstand the impact of having a heavier weighted structure on the front of them. Sometimes they slack down, or they just don't fit on there properly and everything, and you kind of have to get creative with it just to make it work. So let's slide the stand out of the way again. Again, I really don't have too many complaints about this particular model. I will say that on the aft section, the main impulse engine, which is located beneath shuttle bays 1 and 2, on the neck of the ship, for which the neck is what connects the saucer section to the star drive section, they're painted on. The main impulse engine, which is that main red square in the middle, I shouldn't say square, it's more of a rectangle, and then each of the adjoining impulse engines on both sides of the saucer section have that same application. To me, that's one of the complaints that many people seem to have with Eaglemoss. I'm going to say that I share that sentiment, only because if you're going to use clear plastic parts on other components, such as the warp nacelles and everything in these areas, then the least you should do is go ahead and place that same level of quality to that section as well. Even on this particular model, there should be a section in the main deflector housing on the forward section of the ship, of the forward section of the secondary hull, I should say, that should be given that attention to detail as well. It's not bad. It's just that it would be better if that was all blue and it housed it with a clear plastic application instead of with just being painted in. But overall, not bad at all. I will say that through my own ignorance of it when I first got this model, I attempted to see if it was actually capable of a separation of its saucer section, as the model used in the television program and movies was capable of that. They do Diamond Select sells a model that you can actually separate and reattach the saucer module to. Don't try it with this one. You will find out that you will require immediate super gluing and patience and gritting your teeth immediately following that, as you will break the model attempting to separate it from its saucer module. Gonna grade this model though, give it a 9 out of 10 rating on my scale, just because based solely on, I make a 5-point scale here. First, is to say size. Size-wise, as the flagship, which is ironic, it was the flagship of the Federation when it was in service from 2364 to 2371. But size-wise, as the flagship model of the group, it's perfect. It's good size. You can see all the details. The Aztecing on the surface of the ship is really, really good. The window placements, the escape pods, all the phaser emitters are perfectly clear and obvious. Vents are placed in the right spots and everything. There's good application of decaling and everything. The attention to detail on this particular one is solid. It's a really good starship, but and size-wise, it gets top marks. The attention to detail, it's going to get top marks. Decals and paint applications, the reason I'm actually going to give it a less than accurate mark on that is just because I received a second one of these at one point whenever I was supposed to get my future Enterprise. They sent me this one in its place, so I ended up with a second model of it, and the decal application was off. So it's fair to say that not every one of these is a cookie cutter version of each other. Some of these don't pass through the same quality control panels that they should. It's not to say that it's terrible, but I mean it's noticeable. And I noticed that a lot of the other guys, Irish Trekkie, he's been very good about pointing out a lot of the flaws. So is Soundwave SG1, excuse me. He's really got an attention to detail in regards to the engineering aspect of these ships and how they're constructed, not only from the Star Trek standpoint, but from an actual perspective of a modeler. I would tend to say that would be one of its good high points and everything, but again, it doesn't get a perfect mark because not every one of them is that way. The fourth mark I'll give it is based on symmetry. When I look at it from multiple angles, the nacelles line up exactly like they're supposed to. They run a smooth axis down the line of them and everything just like they're supposed to. When you look at it from a direct side perspective, you should be able to not see the outline of the other nacelle housing. It should line up perfectly, and in my model, it does. So it gets a darn near perfect score for that. True to the show it came from is my fifth one, which is basically to say, does this look like the model you see in the show? And 99.9% yes. This looks exactly like the ship that you've seen in every one of the episodes of the show and all four of the feature films. I'm sorry, all one of the feature films. It wasn't in the last three. But it's definitely true to its form. It's definitely the starship it's supposed to be. It's easily recognizable. So I will grant the 1701-D issue 1 of Eaglemoss a 9 out of 10 rating. Want to say thank you to the subscribers out there, what few I do have. I'm really trying to actually increase the fan base of this channel. I have been doing movie reviews here and there. Started out with Star Trek ones, wanted to kind of expand it outward a little bit into something else. So hence here I am sitting here trying to come up with something a little bit better. So again, want to put out that shout out to Soundwave, to Irish Trekkie, and to the Geekology guys, just to say thanks for inspiring. And I wanted to give this a little bit of a flavor from somebody else's perspective, just because you guys seem to be over in Europe, and these models are available throughout the world. I think it's kind of important to help create more of a fan base for these and everything, and to try and keep the collection going. I mean, clearly they've got a pretty good base, otherwise they wouldn't be expanding it well over 100 issues now. But without making more fans, without keeping more people in the loop on it, where it's always that potential that it could dry up, and who wants to see an incomplete collection? I know I don't. So help a guy out. If you have any critiques or criticisms, I am trying to come up with a studio way of reviewing these and everything, but for the most part, I'm just going to kind of roll with this, and we'll kind of see what people say in regards to critiques for me. So take care, and thanks for watching. See you on issue 2, the 1701 refit.